All right, everybody, welcome to Get Bit, the place for blurs and nerds. If you got a fandom, you're welcome here. As you can see tonight, I am joined by a couple of good special guests. Of course, I want to introduce them to everybody. So, of course, I'll start with Shadow because Shadow was with me last week. Shadow, how you doing?
Been one interesting day.
One interesting day. I'll give you that.
But I'm good, guys. Glad to be back and always ready to talk about the fun, nerdy stuff. So
All right.
let's get to it.
And also, I want to introduce somebody that was also on the podcast in spirit last week, but I'm glad he's on here as well. So, Joe, I just want to welcome you as well, man. How you doing tonight?
See, I harassed my way enough in the chat that I got on here.
Well, I won't say harass. I won't say harass. I will sit there and say you provided some much needed knowledge because of, like I said, I don't really consider myself a library, but there are some people out there such as yourselves that I love having on here because you can give a lot of background content, especially to a lot of stuff that's out there. So like I said, I definitely wanted to have you on and definitely wanted to welcome you. So for everybody that's going to be watching this, of course, this is a family-friendly podcast. We do try to watch our language on here, but occasionally a word will fly. That's just the way it is when you're passionate about something. So we might have an occasional word here and there, but we're not very vulgar. But there may be some trailers we may show that might be of a violent nature, and I cannot stress this enough. If your kid is watching Mortal Kombat, and they're not above the age of 7, it is not my problem. I just want to point that out. It is not my problem if your kid sees a Mortal Kombat trailer and then you wonder why I showed it. I gave the warning. So, without all being said, everybody else, welcome. So, we're just going to go ahead and attack the elephant in the room. We're going to talk about WandaVision. Of course, this is going to be a spoiler-filled conversation, which means we are going to talk about it in its entirety. If you have yet to see the season finale of WandaVision, this is your only warning you're going to get because we are going to talk about it from beginning to end and post-credit scenes and what it could possibly mean for the next phase of the MCU. So, everybody's been warned. 3, 2, and 1. You've been warned. So, like I said, I'll usually do with Joe on this show. If you're the first guest on Get Bit, you get the first crack at bat. What did you think of the season finale of WandaVision?
I actually really enjoyed it. I watched it fairly early this morning, as I usually do. I was able to spot quite a few Easter eggs, some things that only you would have to pick up if you've read like the James Robinson run, or you're familiar with artwork from old comics I got to pick up in there. I liked the Vision standoff. The kids were still good. They were surprisingly the two best child actors I've seen in a while. The fight was about what you would expect from a Marvel fight. I mean, everything was great.
Yeah.
Lots of energy blasts. I know why this one has probably saved up the most money, and everything was shot in black and white for a while. Color's expensive.
Okay. Shadow, what about you?
I don't want to go into too much spoilers. I know we're in spoiler territory.
Hey, hang on, Shadow. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know. It got delayed a little bit. What are you saying, Joe? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. Like I said, I want to go into spoilers, but I want to go into spoilers with everybody because, this is more fun to talk around the table. The big thing I notice, and this is for me because I've been reading for so long, is when Wanda got the full costume, she had the George Perez hair.
Yeah.
Yep. She had the crimpy George Perez hair. And I'm like, well, that's a nice nod to George.
Okay. Shadow, you like you're chomping at the bit. What did you think about the season finale?
Boy, first of all, was up at 2:00 this morning. As soon as the clock said 1:59, 59, 59, and it said then 2:00, I was like, refresh, press play. Oh my god. Definitely picked up right where I left off last week, and we get the battle with Agatha versus it's like a 3-way battle. We get Agatha versus Wanda, then Vision comes in. She starts choking try to crush her head.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's dark. And then of course Vision comes in. They're like, let's fight for it. They're doing vision on vision, witch on witch, and then everyone just great all around. I rewatched it today. I probably rewatch it again. I actually want to go through all of it.
Okay.
In one full setting, but I mean, for what they gave us in this series, they definitely stuck the landing, and I'm very, very impressed. And I can't wait to see how it fully leads into Multiverse of Madness. I have a couple of theories of my own, but then that's the biggest thing. Everyone who gave all these theories about Nightmare, Mephisto,
I was one of them.
I'm like, we had some stuff. So they did confirm that it was a Darkhold. I was kind of hoping that they wouldn't go that route because it's already been in the MCU adjacent with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it's fine. We got the real Darkhold. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, great end to what we get to. What we got, the build up had definitely had a great payoff, and honestly, that very last teaser where she's in the cabin,
yeah,
both of them,
both of her. That last teaser, and you hear the boys. Now we may not have got Mephisto in this show,
right?
That doesn't mean either him or Nightmare won't appear in Multiverse of Madness, because I think that was actually her voice calling out to her, not just
probably
not just voices in her head. I think that was Billy like, hey, so Mom, we're stuck in hell. Come help us. Help me, Mommy.
I don't think they're stuck in hell. I do think this is the old adage of energy can't be created or destroyed, just
simply
changed.
Transferred, right?
So they're just in a different space or a different area. They could be in limbo, which in that case, they got someone else they got to deal with, and she's a very cranky person.
Yeah.
Oh yes, she is.
It can be.
Well, I mean, it's just from what from what I saw from it. I was one of those guys. I was the one talking about on the last podcast. I said the season finale of WandaVision, in my mind, I was talking with Shadow last week. I thought WandaVision was going to be basically the nexus for the next parts of the MCU. That's what I thought. Now, of course, I was hoping for them to introduce Reed Richards as the astrophysicist. I thought that would have been, especially with John Krasinski on the day of WandaVision, says I can finally talk about it, but he's talking about A Quiet Place 2 and the date it's coming out. And I just thought to myself, well played, sir, that you sat there on the eve of when we think we're gonna finally see Reed Richards in the MCU. You talk about your movie, but well played.
Yeah.
And again, I was expecting Nightmare or Mephisto. I was expecting the Head of Sword. I threw out so many theories. The Head of Sword was really a Skrull.
No, he was just Dick. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Good.
Excuse-moi.
But I was just thinking. I mean, I threw out so many theories, but overall, I like the fact I called it that Vision unlocked himself. That literally, that whole, I mean, I love that whole story where they talked about the theory of Odysseus' ship, and I was like, what a Big Bang Theory way of actually having Vision and White Vision have the most intellectual conversation it was like a modern day Princess Bride, where you
so let me
go ahead.
The other thing I like about that is Paul Bettany trolling
everyone. Yes, he did.
That was well played. I'm gonna finally get to work with somebody I've been looking forward to. You know what? This is why I sit there and say Kevin Feige and just the MCU in general, they are the puppet masters to our fandom. Like, don't get me wrong. This is why, I mean, I can go into the whole thing about where DC falters and where Marvel succeeds, and it's all about the story and the fact of how you can pull us in. Because keep in mind, when WandaVision first came on, there were people that are like, this is what is this? This isn't what I'm used to. And them first couple episodes were like slow burns. But if you're used to slow burn storytelling, it's like, just wait. Keep in mind, it's going to pick up. Yeah. Which for a lot of people, I don't like to call them casuals, but for a lot of people that were looking for in-game type action, they kind of got quiet around episode 3, and then from there, no words were said. But in this season finale, though, I mean, I do like the fact of, Vision and White Vision and Vision, and of course him unlocking his memories that Sword had locked down. I did like the fact of Wanda using the same tactics that Agatha taught her. I thought that was crazy to sit there and turn around and use the same symbols that you captured her with, and at the same time made you think that she literally had the power, the chaos magic that she thought she was getting. I love that. And the whole switch around about thinking that she could really take her power, but in essence you took Agatha's power, and then you really rewrote Agatha. You basically turned her into a permanent character, even though the town of Westview, as Wanda designed it, is really no more. But you kind of I was thinking to myself, are we really seeing Agatha Harkness depowered now, considering that now Wanda has became Scarlet Witch in a way? I mean, like I said, I like the fact that she was going full circle about it. So I definitely like that. But I also like the fact of, WandaVision was just meant to be, in my opinion, of just her dealing with her grief. Like, It was like, you could see at the end of it, she had to finally accept reality for what it was instead of her trying to bend everything. And I thought that was cool. I thought that was a nice little ending to say, I'm going to take this Darkhold that you say is all about the Scarlet Witch and learn it. Even though it does say what it say for the future. And that's why I was thinking to myself, not to go into the post-credit scenes yet, but I love the season finale. I mean, it was perfect. It was a nice wrapped-up story, but I also think it set up the seeds for what's going to happen, in my opinion, with Captain Marvel 2. It's going to happen in Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness. I think it just sets up seeds there, but what do you guys think?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So, first of all, I'm super glad that this entire series, even though it wasn't about her, it gave Monica Rambeau one of the best heroes journeys I've seen in a good long time.
Oh yeah,
because she's at this point, we don't know what happened in between the gap from Captain Marvel to now, but we assume she's just a regular person, wanted to do what's right. She suffered grief. She suffered being part of the disappeared and everything, coming back, finding out her mother's died. And she gets back on the case and just trying to do something that's right. And then, even though going through the hex, being a part of it, getting pushed through the fourth wall by Wanda, even then, she's like, Wanda needs our help. If she's the problem, she needs to be the solution. She's advocating, trying to get this person who she sees as not really doing okay. She's trying to help, whereas everyone else is just trying to, focus on just saving everyone else, or just, the Sword agents are focused on mainly saving everyone. Hayward's focused on getting Vision, what he thought was, Vision at the time. And here she is. Hey, I just want to go back in there and help her.
Right.
Calm her down. Try to get her to see reason. And that scene, which episode 4, episode 7 are among my 2 favorite episodes, and because she's the most prevalent in them, because in episode 7, seeing her push her way through the hex, like, that scene was powerful. It was extremely powerful, because here she is, like, hey, I can make it through. I don't know if it's going to disintegrate me. I don't know if it's going to kill me, but I'm getting back in there.
Yeah.
Because, in the words of Hawkeye, because it's my job. I'm going back in there. I'm going to do it. I need to go to try to help Wanda. So I'm really glad that that's how she got her powers, and I'm really interested to see how they play with it. Now, with the end credit, with one of them, that leads, of course, into Captain Marvel 2, but I honestly think we might see her in the Secret Invasion show. I kind of hope we do.
I can see that.
And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney Plus was like, hey, so you know what? Boom, here's a Proton show. Boom, there you go.
Yeah, that is gonna. I think that's gonna be set up for more Captain Marvel 2, but post movie. But Joe, what do you think?
I think that's going to be setting up for Secret Invasion, like you said. I always figured there'd be a Skrull somewhere because a lot of this will lead into Secret Invasion. I kind of think that maybe their big flagship for their TV stuff because, Secret Invasion, I guess you can have a lot of the more TV-based heroes deal with something like that rather than calling the super big guns.
Yeah.
Except maybe towards the end. You can call in a couple of the big guys that are still more than okay being television contract.
Yeah.
That over the other end scene definitely leads into Multiverse of Madness. A lot of people were like, Stephen Strange isn't in. It's like, this was never going to be a direct lead. This is a lead-in,
not a tie-in, right?
Tie-in. Those are two different things. But, we got name dropped and, it's going to happen anyways. Something's going to happen that's causing reality to break down, whether it's Wanda or something else. We know that Wanda could probably now deal with it.
Right.
Especially now that she's learning from the Darkhold.
Yeah.
Which that may or may not be a good thing, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh, it's definitely going to backfire.
It's definitely going to backfire somewhere. And that's why I was saying, like I said, what you guys just said, it's not a lead in to the Multiverse of Madness, but I think that somewhere there is going to be a connection between Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch. Just because, of course, we heard the names Mephisto thrown around, we've heard Nightmare getting thrown around as far as being in Multiverse of Madness and every other character. So it's not like I said, a lot of people are getting that tied to a tie-in. I don't think it's a tie-in. But like I said, just like with the Captain Marvel 2 movie with Monica, or AKA Photon or Pulse, whatever you want to go with.
I think at this point she's Spectrum.
She might be Spectrum? Okay.
I think she's Proton because of her mom.
No, I don't think they're doing that. I think she's Spectrum because they're so highly emphasized on her eyesight.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And we also saw that she can see in the electromagnetic spectrum to begin with anyways when she's in her powers.
Yeah. Okay, so that's also a possibility it might go Spectrum. But that's what I was saying. A lot of it, like I could see the tie-in with her for Captain Marvel 2 and basically setting up the story of what actually happened, of course, with her mom and of course with Captain Marvel, and eventually her taking the role at some point. I'm not gonna say anytime soon because what's her face has a 4-movie deal and she's only done 2. So she's still got another sequel to do and then another unnamed movie. So I don't see her taking on the full role in the MCU as of yet. But the idea behind Scarlet Witch, I do like that fact of going with the Darkhold. Yes, I agree with you, Shadow. You did kind of throw dirt at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.'s Darkhold versus the actual one that Agatha Harkness had. It's like y'all just said forget the television show that's been on for 6 seasons, huh? That's kind of messed up.
I think that's just been retconned out.
Yeah. It would have been nice to have it have the same design, but that's just wishful thinking. They gave us 7 seasons of great TV show, in my opinion, and we are what we are. The only thing I ask is that we get a possible cameo from Daisy in Secret Invasion because Chloe wants to do it. She still wants to be, this character. I feel like it would be awesome to tie that into.
Well, that'll be the one time the MCU does something that DC didn't do. Was actually tie in their movie stars, their actual movie roles. They actually tied them into their television roles. Because the actress that was Lady Sif, she was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a short time. And you had the guy who played Dum Dum Hooligan on Captain America's first movie. He was also an Agent Carter for an episode or two. So there's one thing that Marvel can do is switch out their television, their movie stars to keep the entire longevity of a long gestation story going. I can't knock that, but just to give it a capiche on the Scarlet Witch. Which I was telling everybody else about WandaVision. It's like, it's only going to be 1 season? Yes, because
it doesn't need to be a season.
It doesn't need to be a season 2. Why do you want a season 2? I mean, if you want a season 2, go read House of M. Go read, I can't think of the story right now that Wanda altered the mutant universe as I see fit. Because I know House of M was a direct story. I can't think of the other one I can think of right now. Because I know there's 4. There's 4.
Avengers Disassembled led directly into...
Or as Joe is pointing out, the complete collection of Scarlet Witch. That's also another one. Thank you, Joe, because he Yeah, that's why I said. That's why I said I'm glad Joe's on here, just because he has the library on it, and of course, again, like I said before, this is also a reason why I love comics, because a lot of people don't know libraries carry comic books too. So if you don't have access to a comic book store, because trust me, they're starting to become deserts now. I mean, your local comic book stores are really starting to become deserts. If it's like me, I use Comixology just because they actually have a large selection I can download and watch. I can download and read. But yeah, libraries. I learned that since I was a kid. Libraries carry collections of comic books. So again, there's a lot of stories there, especially with Scarlet Witch, that can be watched. So anybody that needs a season 2 fix, go read those. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. But this is going to be an interesting segue because speaking of disappointments, because I have to talk about them. I have to talk about these shows. So gentlemen, bear with me as we go through the book that is now known as CW. I got to talk about Batwoman. Specifically episode 6, otherwise known as DNR, or Do Not Resuscitate if you're not familiar in the medical field. I know, Shadow, I know you said that you watched it. Joe, I know you watched it. So I tried to give Shadow the most non-biased opinion I could. I failed. So, Shadow, because you've seen it, and you've seen the new season, what'd you think?
Okay, so first of all, shout out to our new Batwoman.
Mm-hmm.
She is doing what she can with what she's been given. I honestly wish the whole switch up thing had happened right after Crisis.
Okay.
Because a multiverse thing event like that would have been the great reason to have it switch up, but it didn't. It happened in the middle of the season, in the middle of a pandemic, and whether it was the back injury, the fallout between the producers, something that huge was going to cause strife in some way with how the show goes forward. They didn't want to cancel it, and so now here we are. Mm-hmm. You ask how the frack we got here? This is how we got here. The whole plot, the whole continuing subplot of whatever happened to Kate Kane, we're gonna find Kate. We need to get to the island and find Kate. I'm like, okay, CW, I understand you have to make the characters realize they're trying to find Kate, but and we know, and the actors know, Kate Kane is not coming back.
Right.
We're setting them up to get to this island, battle the reject League of Assassins for nothing.
Pretty much.
And we know this. So because we know this, all you had to do, show a cadaver, say it's Kate Kane. Oh no, she died. We're mourning for a while. We need somebody to fill in the suit. You found the suit? Oh, we're gonna trust you right now. We're gonna trust you with this. Here you go. And then just random villains. Alice is like, oh well, she's dead. I have nothing else to live for. Bye. Deuces. First episode, we're gone.
Right.
And just random villains. Have that be her training session until she finds something of her own later on. Like I said last week, the first season would have been so much better if they had not made Alice the main protagonist. Go season 1 of Arrow route. Mm-hmm. Random villains every other episode, just fighting, getting to know her city, do all this, and then build up the slow progress of a villain in the background. But you went for it right out in the beginning.
Right.
And that did not work for what y'all were doing, and it's not working now because of the mix-up. And honestly, even though I'm a very optimistic guy, I try to see the good and all stuff. I just said, like, okay, I have to watch this for my job. This is cool. Actions, okay, a couple issues, okay, cool. Next episode.
Wow. Okay.
Joe, I hate that. I really hate that. But
I tried to warn you. I tried my hardest. I don't believe in keeping somebody from watching something, but I felt like the only way you could actually get a view of it is to see it yourself. But Joe, what did you think of Batwoman? Of course, the new Batwoman season so far. Oh, Joe?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Sorry, man. No, I was gonna say, well, what do you think of the Batwoman, the new season so far?
This shares a lot in common with Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who.
Damn.
That's fired.
Damn. Damn.
Where the actress is fantastic. They have good actors at doing good things. But the show itself, in grand scheme of things, is absolutely terrible.
Ooh. You had
the show running is bad.
You had me at Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who. Damn.
As soon as Kate Kane was out, you should have immediately dropped Alice. You should have gotten, like, I don't know, bring in gangsters, for God's sakes. The mob is still a thing.
They're setting up the False Face Society. Have that and possibly Black Mask.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, well, let's run some, like, lower level thugs. Bring in our Zuko's and our Fish Moonies for a bit until, oh, for God's sakes, and then Black Mask. It's not
I'm like, was Two-Face not available?
Why would you kill a character and then immediately go, oh, that's a dupe in the same episode?
Mm-hmm.
That is very poor writing and very poor suspense. Like, that should have been casual watchers gonna be like, oh my God, he just killed her. They had a connection. Oh no. And then the next episode, he's alive? But no, you do it in the same freaking episode. It's stupid.
This is the DC equivalent of Jodie Whittaker's run in Doctor Who. Like, you have a good lead, a good cast, bad stories.
That's what it always seems to be, and that's why I said I wanted to bring this up, because I still follow Batwoman. I like Shadow. I want to be hopeful. I want to be so hopeful about it. But everything that you both just said was just, I couldn't say anything. I mean, like I said, I was sitting there saying, of course, there's no story. I mean, okay, you kill off Kate supposedly, but now the whole season is trying to find Kate's body, or believing she's still alive. That to me makes no sense, because at this point, if you're still trying to turn around and trying to, I guess, identify or just try to say, okay, well, she's got to be alive somewhere, and that just takes away from the actual person who's actually in the lead role. That's what kills me. And then at the same time, as Chad pointed out about Arrow, I kind of saw this in this episode of Batwoman, because what they're doing in the second season of Batwoman is what they did in the fourth season of Arrow, where they all made it about going back to the island, about finding a former mentor, and it's about some mystical item that apparently can cure all. And I just thought about this. I said, did they just take the idea from Arrow season 4 and just decide to make it to the second season of Batwoman? Because it doesn't work. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Ryan Wilder's character, but the whole kryptonite poisoning thing, it's just like, really? And like you a bullet that was made of kryptonite that is killing a human. Okay, that's weird. And then you had Luke Fox, who's Lucius's son, and her and Ryan are still beefing. You are 6 episodes in, and you're still beefing with your supposed team. By now, that should have wrapped up at least by episode 2 or 3. And then I have to ask this question, like you guys have already sat there and said it before. Why can't Batwoman let go of Kate Kane? Why can't she just be a distant memory? And like I said about Alice, because I know me and Shadow talked about this last week. I said we need a better villain than Alice, because I don't feel like Alice is a villain. I really feel like Alice is that anti-hero that you want to cheer for, that you really shouldn't cheer for, but at the same time, because there's nothing else out there for us to latch on to. And like you said, Joe, it's like the whole idea of just a villain. Give me, I mean, like I said, Black Mask, Fish Mooney. Hell, I'll take the Penguin at this point. I was like, Mad Hatter? I mean, of course, that's what you try to base Alice off of, but
bring back Jim Rash as the Riddler.
I mean, it's just, it's mind-blowing the level of lore that they could go for.
I will settle for the condiment.
Not the condiment king.
At this point.
Not the condiment king.
I agree. I definitely agree.
Not the condiment king.
Do you know why I was more excited for Batwoman when they first announced it? I mean, the character of Kate Kane is great and everything, but when they announced that Luke Fox would be a part of it, I immediately thought, Batwing, boom. That's gonna be her partner, her second. It may not happen in the first season, but we have Luke Fox in a main character role. It's gonna be a possibility he might suit up and be a part of this hero base in the Arrowverse. Yeah.
We were
wrong. Nothing. Well, if Kate Kane had died, I'm glad we got the new hero and everything. The new one. They should have set the seeds slowly in season 1 for Luke to be slowly little building pieces and parts and here and there, because especially with the new hero, she may be proficient in six forms of martial arts, but has she been trained in stealth? No. Escape tactics? No. Typical Batman trainee stuff outside of martial arts? No. And so, something. Give her more tech upgrades. Get something to give her the edge and stop comparing her to Kate and make her own. Yes, the new weave looks great, and they got the little red tints in. The Batmobile looks good with the red and black. Something else could have been done. And if we get through this season and we somehow survive this season and it gets a season 3, I need them to introduce Batwing.
But will they though?
Hell, it could even be a drone. Luke can still be in the freaking cave. What happened to Joe?
I think he dropped off. I'm waiting for him to come back, but I'll look out for him. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. So set him up. It can be a drone type suit.
Yeah.
Where he's controlling in the back cave, but he's still able to provide backup. Something. These characters have deep history of lore, and you're not really pulling from them like you should be.
Yeah.
And, going forward, Oliver sacrificed his life for this twice. And you are failing this multiverse.
It's like you have failed this. It's just another way you can say it. You have failed the multiverse. And that's why I was sitting there saying, like I said, we're waiting for Joe to come back. I don't know if his connection dropped. We're going to wait for him to come back. But in the meantime, though, I mean, there's just no other way to say it about Batwoman. It's like, you are now 6 episodes in. At this point, there has to be a stride. There has to be a story. There has to be something for us to latch on to. But Kate, it's like Ryan, like you said, having no training, but I've been trained in 6 different ways of martial arts, but every episode, your ass is getting kicked.
Yeah,
I'm like
6 styles?
6 styles of martial arts? Jet Li knows 6 styles of martial arts. I don't see anybody whipping his tail and Romeo Must Die. That's all I'm saying.
Like, that alone should have, and they gave her the, I was part of some criminal stuff in jail, so I can read criminals and all this stuff. I haven't seen that skill utilized once.
And at the same,
except for against Zaz, but even then he read her right back, and I will say that was funny. She walks in and he's like, "So what you got back there? Oh, is it a rocket mounted?" I'm like, "Oh my god, he just pulled that out."
Right.
That was funny. That was legit funny to me.
But aside from that though, everything else was just I just can't I
need them to let go of Kate. Get this Alan. I know she's not alive. Deal with it and move the crab basket's on.
But here's the thing. It is literally, to me, it is almost like, for some odd reason, that it's almost like they're leaving the story open for her to come back. Where else could you sit there and someone decided that, oh, here's what we'll do. We'll turn around and make the entire thing about her. But again, the side stories are missing. I could care less about her relationship with Angelique. She's dating a drug dealer. You're dating a drug dealer, and I have less interest in that than Alice trying to get back to to that island, which again was like a mini Oliver Queen. There's no other way I could put that. It's like a mini Oliver Queen.
Reject League of Assassins is what I call it.
Pretty much. So I'm just like, it's almost just why at this point. It's like I said, 6 episodes in. I want to say it's going to get better, but as I have always said before, I just will not understand CW and their storytelling, especially with Batwoman, because like Joe said, if this was going to be the continuation of what was going on, then honestly, Batwoman should have just stopped. It really should have been canceled. It should have been canceled if you knew you couldn't turn around and produce a higher quality story. Because but then again, that's not the only show on CW that has problems. That's not the only one. But before I do go into the next CW show, I did want to talk about the rumored Superman reboot. That supposedly, let me see if I can bring that up for a second, because this is going to be interesting in itself. But the Superman reboot is supposed to basically be helmed by J.J. Abrams, and reportedly Michael B. Jordan is supposed to be being eyed as the new Man of Steel, who's basically going to be playing Calvin from, I forgot what Earth he was a part of. Earth 23. There we go. Sorry. So he's going to be playing Calvin Ellis from Earth 23. So it's one of those things to where I just want to sit there and I just want to go, should I be concerned?
Yes. Yes, you should, because
go ahead.
It's going to be, I'm sorry. Now, I knew the reboot was coming.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Michael B. Jordan was a part of it, and I didn't know they were trying to go the multiversity route. The problematic issue with trying to go that route when you haven't fully released your multiverse thing. Now, I will say that, I'll say it, it may not be entirely true, but the DCU is a bit more embracing their multiverse right now, because we're about to get the Snyder Cut. The Batman with Twinkle Toes, Twinkle Vampire. That's a separate entity. They haven't confirmed whether it's just a young version of Ben Affleck's Batman. It's just a Batman story. So that's two Batman going about in 2 movies. The Flash, Flashpoint is going to supposedly open up the door for multiverse. So they're embracing and leaning into multiverse a little bit more.
I can see that.
But trying to do Calvin, the black president Superman of the multiverse. I'm here for it. But the problem of the people that we live in the world with today
are gonna flip.
The problem that's gonna be my table. Flip it. It's gonna be a whole thing. So it's my job to sit there and watch this stuff. I'll be there. I just wish we didn't have to reboot anything. I wish businesses.
Okay, so what? Hang on, Joe. Let me stop you for a second, Shadow. So welcome back, Joe. We were talking about the rumored Superman reboot that is being helmed by J.J. Abrams, and that Michael B. Jordan is rumored to be the lead pick to play Calvin Ellis as the Man of Steel in the reboot of Superman.
That's fine.
You think you? Okay, hang on. I'm gonna get your opinion. I'll let Shadow finish his first. But go ahead, Shadow.
I'm pretty much done. Like I said, it's cool. Michael B's been killing it for a good couple of years now, so he'll kill it in this role. I just wish we didn't have to keep rebooting stuff.
I'm gonna hold my peace on that one.
Yeah,
I got something for that, but
yeah.
Joe, what do you think knowing about that news as far as him playing Calvin Ellis, basically Superman from Earth 23?
Yeah, it's fine.
See, I'm different. I'm gonna tell
You
you.
know, I mean, he fouls or Kavanaugh or Falza, whichever one we want to call him. This one, whichever one he is. Are we talking about President Superman or
Yeah,
Superman Earth
Yes,
2?
it's
yes,
President
Oh,
Superman.
President
Yeah.
Superman.
oh well, there's probably a reason it's going to be that one, anyways, because I think they're getting ready to do that in the comic. Um, but I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's fine.
But that's why I say I'm different. The reason why I say that is because why do we need to introduce another level of Superman when you have Henry Cavill right there?
Because
I'm
Henry
like,
Cavill didn't work.
well, that's why I can't say that because
The
I
story
will
he was given didn't work.
I will say this: Zack Snyder's direction of what he did with Man of Steel is the reason why I keep on saying that Henry Cavill could still be better. Because I still think initially in my mind he's the greatest pick for Superman that we have right now. The thing about it is that I'm one of those guys that looked at Man of Steel and looked at Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, and I'm just like, no. I could see the reason why you went this direction. It wasn't the right direction,
If your Superman does not inspire hope, he is not a Superman.
but that's what that exactly. So that's why I'm like, okay, so now you want to reboot it. So now you're gonna have because as far as DC because as far as DC is concerned, DC doesn't believe in continuality, whether it's between comics, television shows, or movies. So now we're gonna have this alternate universe out there
No,
by
here's
another
how-
Superman.
Here's how you need to look at this in the grand scheme of things. And I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We already know that DC and Warner Brothers does not care about
Sorry.
continuity anymore because they've stated multiple times that the DC movie universe is much like the comics. It is a multiverse.
But okay,
The
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Joker doesn't. In the Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, at least I think it's Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, it was him. It was him.
Does not interact with the Robert Pattinson Batman. Two different things. Henry Cavill is still Superman, but Michael B. Jordan is also a Superman. Now, at some point, I'm sure they will cross over because Darkseid is. But for them to establish a different Superman of color, that's fine. I mean, we can have Mexican Superman that's also raised by the Luthers from Gods and Monsters.
True.
Vampire Batman. That's the one right there. But it's just fine because it's a multiverse and they're trying to hurriedly gain as much ground as they can to do something which will probably not pay off in the end.
Nope.
But at the same time, that's fine. It's like the Flash thing where they say the new Supergirl is Hispanic. That's fine. That leads me to believe that is the Gods and Monsters Supergirl.
But the thing about it is, and this is why I keep on saying as a DC fan, this is where they fail. It's like I have heard so many people say, "Well, you're just copying Marvel." Okay, Marvel has a successful formula. Everything. For a long time ago on Agents of Shield, they kept on saying the entire time, everything is connected, and they ran with it. And don't get me wrong, it's a nice catchphrase. It's a nice catchphrase that everything was connected, and you could see everything was connected from the show to the movies. Now, DC, I could care less if you copy Marvel because the DC storytelling from the comic books is awesome. I have no issue about it. I have no gray areas. The stories themselves, from a comic book standpoint, and how certain authors and their lines run with it, especially with Joker War. I loved Flash's downfall. I love the fact that the Green Lantern story of him getting back the Lantern and his run with the Red Lanterns. There's stories like that out there that are so away from the main that nobody knows about them unless you read them. So of course, movies is the gateway to comic books now. Let's be honest. Ever since Blade, let's give the Godfather of the MCU his give him his roses. Because I don't say X-Men, because X-Men compared to Blade, even though it was done by Fox, it was cringeworthy, but we can live with it. But of course, with DC, I just want them to just take their universe. There's nothing, you don't have to have universes connecting to each other, but you have to make the story work. And that's always been DC's. It's always been DC's crux when it comes to television and movies. That it's amazing how you can do The Flash, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Like, for the first 3 seasons, The Flash was great. It was awesome. It was great storytelling. And then season 4, it just went down. Same with Arrow. Arrow for 3 seasons was great. It made Stephen Amell a household name. It gave Manu Bennett, it gave him comic book convention credibility till he decided to shirk off stuff. I mean, it's one of those things that when you have a great show is when you can take a character like Green Arrow and make him almost Batman-like as far as a television universe goes. And the same thing, and I was like, and that's why I said the same thing with him and The Flash. Supergirl, let's just be honest, it was trash. It's trash. I mean, CBS dropped it because it was too much to produce it. CW picked it up and tried to jazz it up and tried to put all the fanfare they could behind it, but it was still failing. Stargirl is also failing, and Black Lightning also failing.
Disagree.
You think okay? Well, you tell me. Do you find Stargirl or Supergirl better? Because I've been trying to watch
Stargirl immensely better.
You find Stargirl immensely better than Supergirl.
I think Stargirl's probably one of the better CW shows out there right now.
Because it has the production quality that came from DC Universe.
Right.
Well, that and they can tell a good story, and they pull from the comics more.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do, but it's just
one of these shows. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead and say what you're gonna say.
Each one of these shows, like anything, has its ups and downs. Even something as near perfect as Justice League and Justice League Unlimited had its small shares of downs, but it still ran, considered one of the best DC TV shows out there, right next to Young Justice, which that's another one that produced, 2 great seasons and then, kind of dipped in quality. There's going to be a dip in quality. There's going to be some kind of issue that everyone seems, like I said earlier, I try to stay optimistic.
I can counter that.
The reason I continue to watch these shows is simply because we're getting them. We got the basically Justice League fighting an alien threat before the Justice League actually happened in TV. I mean, in movies. We were able to get these crossovers. Despite some of the issues, we may never actually see a Crisis on Infinite Earths done in the movies. So the fact that we were able to get it on TV, yay!
But it was crappy.
It had its moments. It could have been done better, yes, but we still got it.
I mean, yes, we still got it, but it's like shooting in the dark. There's a 50% chance you're gonna hit your target, and there's a chance you're gonna hit the door. But I'm not knocking that. I mean, don't get me wrong. You have to take shots. From a TV cinematic storytelling standpoint, you do have to take shots. Now, you can go big and go for the home run, or you can go for the base hit. Understandable. But again, just like going back to the Superman reboot, I'm just like, shouldn't this kind of be set up farther along when you guys have established the idea of a multiverse? Because that's where my point is. It's like, I like the idea, but it's not right now. Because if I was DC, and I have been saying this since the end of Endgame, when Marvel sat there and said, okay, We told the Infinity Story saga we're gonna have this little break post Far From Home when Spider-Man Far From Home was the last. Yeah, Spider-Man Far From Home was the last Marvel movie up until, of course, COVID and everything got pushed back. So you had what, a year and some months of time before before Marvel started its next phase. I sat there and said DC has a golden opportunity right now. That you have all this time. Marvel is going back to the woodshed. You can now establish yourself without interference, and you can introduce quality. And they kind of start off that way. Wonder Woman was good, Aquaman was good, Shazam was good, and it's just like and I like the fact that, of course, they all said, well, they don't correlate with each other. It's fine. The saving grace behind those three movies was you had a good story, and it was good correlation, and it was entertaining, and it had replay value. Those things matter regardless if you put them in a same line of telling one big story. So that's why I'm sitting there saying now, with the Superman reboot, I don't mind Calvin Ellis again eventually coming to the screen, but I'd rather do it when enough stories about DC has been told to where, again, you have that quality standpoint. Because that's what a lot of people are going to be looking at. Because, case in point, we all remember when Man of Steel came out, that a lot of people trashed it. And then Batman vs. Superman came out. And you remember that whole year and a half of press they tried to do? Ben Affleck becoming Batman. The whole thing of Do You Bleed? You know, Batman, he sounded, he was like him, Ben Affleck talking with Batman's 60-year-old voice, not sounding any better than Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, you had all that bad press, and the movie wasn't even out yet. So by the time the movie did come out, it's the negativity just never gave it a shot.
Yep.
So I didn't give it a shot because they spoiled Doomsday in the second trailer.
That is also true.
Too.
But then again, but like I said,
he looked like the cave troll from the Mines of Moria.
But yeah, Doomsday was not what and of course how he was created was still.
So here's the other thing I have to say about that movie.
Okay.
That movie is unearned. For second film, you don't start Batman off as Dark Knight Returns Batman.
True.
Neither one of those storylines are earned on a second picture.
True.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
I mean, the fact that
they wanted to copy Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, the fact you did go with the Frank Grimes version of Batman, making him older and actually fast forwarding through a lot of Batman's lore to the point to where Superman is like now they just met for the first time. So let me get this straight. So Batman's already lost Robin, Overwatch. And I'm guessing Nightwing is in Bloodhaven by now, but somehow he just now met Superman, and Superman sees Batman as a vigilante. So again, but that kind of goes back to what I said about the story again. It does go back to that whole idea of just they never gave it the complete correlation that it needed, and that's why I'm sitting there saying that, of course, this is what I'm saying. DC going forward could learn a lesson. They honestly could learn a lesson and say, you know what, maybe we shouldn't, or at this time maybe we should go back to the woodshed. Because this is what I'm saying about Justice League that's going to be coming out in about less than 10 days. Was it March I forgot the date already. I was going to say March 14th, but I'm pretty sure I'm wrong.
It's March 18th because it drops on Thursday, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier drops the very next day.
Okay, so 13 days from now. Thank you for that. So 13 days from now, you're going to have Justice League, and of course, everybody's going to be on the same route. Is it? Of course, DC's being smart about this. You're not showing a lot. I am okay with this. I am okay with the fact you're not showing a lot. I am okay with the fact that you're not showing any trailers. Because I think at that point, DC has learned their lesson about when they decide to go at major movies. Especially with this one, because, let's be honest, Zack Snyder's future of directing any more DC movies is basically based on this. Like, unless Justice League does well, I'm going to be honest, Warner Brothers will never give him another shot at another DC movie.
and he's not getting paid for this movie either. So
No.
he's basically he called it a passion project because they want everyone called to see his vision, and if that vision isn't clear enough, we're back at square one.
Exactly.
And they're so desperate to make it work, they've already spoiled two big things about this movie.
Yep. And that's why I'm sitting there saying it's just, we already knew Superman in the black suit. I'm still waiting for them to sit there and, pop up a Green Lantern somewhere. I ain't gonna lie. I'm thinking at this point, you better pull something. And I've said this, of course, I said this on the previous podcast with Shadow. You better pull something out of your hat for this to work. Because I'm going to be honest, unless Marvel can lock down James Gunn is probably going to take over where Zack Snyder's position used to be, depending on how the Suicide Squad comes out.
Yep, that's another thing too. That's going to be something entirely different, and I'm actually excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah,
I'm more excited about Suicide Squad than I should be about Justice League. That shouldn't be happening.
But here's the thing. Here's the difference between James Gunn and Zack Snyder. James Gunn already has a successful track record. And he took, again, like Joe pointed out, I'm not going to say maybe in this day and age, a not very popular comic book Guardians of the Galaxy, but he took something that was so, unless you read comics, so unknown, so far from the realm of normal characters that we know, and made them known. Even went so far as into Volume 2 and actually showed some of the original Guardians of the Galaxy. So again, that just tells you off the bat, the man knows what he's doing. So DC, of course, with his whole fiasco with his tweets and him apologizing, Marvel gave him the boot. DC said, "We'll take you." Then he got Suicide Squad. Then Marvel said, "Wait a minute, we made a mistake. Come back." And now he's working on, of course, rumored Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but we know he is. Let's be honest, because Batista would not work with any other director but Gunn, so we know he's working on Volume 3 right now.
And the holiday special.
So again, it's just it's the difference between Gunn and Snyder. Gunn's already got a successful track record. Snyder still has yet to show. I hate to say it. Yes, Batman vs. Superman did make money globally and eventually did cover the losses, but it wasn't the powerhouse they expected. So now it's just like, this is a gamble, is what it is. Let's be honest. This Justice League Snyder cut, this 4-hour monstrosity, because I don't know why it's 4 hours, but then again, he could be trying to tell a single universal story in one movie, because that's the only reason I can think of that'll be 4 hours long. But
you're also forgetting the other thing, that the sole difference between those two.
Say it one more time.
And you're forgetting the other sole difference between those two.
What's that?
James Gunn knows how to use colors other than black, white, and brown.
Ding!
You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. You're not wrong at all. Because for some odd reason, Zack Snyder is stuck in the noir stage. You're exactly right. Which for a while, it did work in Sin City, but it can't work for every movie.
Well, Sin City was always black and white, though.
Yeah, but it worked for that, though. I mean, even though a Dan McKeel for was a little but still, it was Let's call it what it is. But I mean, I still love Sin City. But yeah, you're exactly right. But it's that's why I'm sitting there saying, along with this and DC, it just seems to be a mountain of just bad decisions. And I love DC. And like I said, I'm one of those guys that looks at DC, I'm like, I wish the same story you told in the comics would be the same story you told in movies. That's the reason why the animated series works so well. It's the reason why Teen Titans worked. And then they wanted a more comical version and did Teen Titans Go. It's the reason why Batman the Animated Series ran so long. And then you came back with The Brave and the Bold, and then you came back with The Batman. And then, you did Justice League, and then you did Young Justice, and then, take your pick. You have so many animated series out there that had so many great runs, and it's only because the story was good. I'm sorry, say what, Joe?
The Zeta Project.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like you had so many good animated movies too. Even Teen Titans and Judas Contract, which again a lot of people, which then that was good in itself. So it's like you can make great animated movies and shows, but your problem is you can't seem to translate that to movies unless you have some one-offs. But go ahead, Shadow.
Adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
If you have somebody making an adaptation of a pre-existing property,
Yeah.
then the person making it needs to be a 100% complete fan.
True.
If they are not, someone who has written on the comic or has been a part of that particular character's run in any significance needs to be on board to help direct the vision in that. Do you know what Zack Snyder originally wanted Batman to do in Batman vs Superman? He wanted Batman to be caught and put in jail and raped and some stupid stuff like that.
I remember he wanted to go way dark. He wanted to go way dark with his story.
What? Batman is not just about being dark in his stories. There are plenty of stories where I've seen Batman care about the people he's trying to save, stop a kid from doing drugs, fighting for people's lives. Hell, in the animated series, the old wounds where Dick Grayson's telling Tim Drake about how he and Batman broke up for a minute, he's talking about they're showing how Batman is being rough with this criminal trying to get to the Joker.
Yeah.
But then you turn around, he gave the guy a job at Wayne Enterprises. Checks on his kid. So, like, Batman is not all about the darkness.
He's not really all about justice as far as punishing and as Jason Todd said.
Show you can do the darkness but still show the light.
But that's what Snyder tried to do at the end of Batman vs Superman. He tried to sit there and show Batman. Of course,
it was too late at that point.
It was too late. Him buying back the Kent farm and the house, and I was like, you're pretty much just trying to show that you're not completely a dick, and that, like you said, it was a little bit too late in that. But speaking of Superman, like I said, the reboot, we've talked enough about bad CW shows. I want to talk about a good one. I want to talk about Superman and Lois.
It's amazing
because Superman and Lois, in my opinion, has honestly been great. But I'm going to start with you. I'm going to start with you again, Joe, because I'm pretty sure you've caught up. What do you think about Superman and Lois so far?
I still don't know why he's fighting Doom Guy, but we'll get to that later. I am still convinced that Jonathan's going to have the other half of Clark's powers.
Yep.
I think he's going to have strength and speed, while Jordan has vision and invulnerability. I mean, I don't think, unless we're going to go like hyper specific into X-ray vision and cold breath, and we can split those between the twins. I've seen some things where this episode in particular, because Jonathan's very resentful, it's like, oh, when he gets his powers, he's going to be Superboy Prime.
Right.
Stop
There's a possibility.
There is a possibility he could.
I will get out. No, don't do that, Bottle. It's for you. Again, the two lead actors of Superman and Lois have wonderful chemistry. I love them to death. The big bad for this, not the Luthor, but the Lois big bad, it's just billionaire
Morgan Edge.
Morgan Edge.
No, it's literally, we're still working with John Cryer to see if he'll go from Supergirl to Superman. That's all this is.
Pretty much.
It's contract negotiation holdover.
Well, I mean,
but the episode itself was fine.
All right, Shadow, what do you think about it?
I guarantee you, the boyfriend is going to end up being their Jimmy Olsen by the end of the series.
I gotta see that. Shadow, what do you think about it?
I love it, and I've always had a hate-love relationship with Superman.
Oh, Lord.
Growing up, because
love-hate.
Because growing up, I was like, dude, you're all powerful. You're an all powerful God. How are you letting a green rock stop you? And I was like, what is all this? But then I got into the animated series, Justice League, which I stand by saying Justice League, Superman. Basically, DCAU Superman is my preferred version of Superman.
Okay.
Because of just how he handled their entire run. But so to go from having that relationship with Superman to now being able to sit and watch a show where we see Superman being Superman, the bright, the colorful,
not hard,
the saving people, the being hopeful. Why couldn't we have got this in 2013? It wasn't hard. You didn't have to go dark with Superman.
But look,
there's not really been that many.
But look who's writing the show.
Stories.
But at the same time, look who's writing who was the story? Who was the showrunner at the time? That's all I'm saying. Look who was it.
But for what we're getting now, I'm loving it. I'm loving the boys. The family dynamic. That's the one thing that I continually liked about the CW shows, that the family dynamic is the best part.
Mm-hmm.
You may not like Supergirl, but to me, Supergirl and Space Dad, Martian Manhunter, the whole family dynamic has always been a great dynamic for me. The Flash, the family dynamic from that, especially in the early seasons, has always been a great draw for me.
Well, I told you what had happened with Flash, though.
Now,
hey, that's the way it's going to get back to greatness. I already told you, but go ahead. Oh, you might have froze up a little bit. Actually, did we all freeze? Oh.
So how we play with it. Of course, I have a new cosplay now. It's just another Luthor from a different world. And that scene where they actually showed his world, did you guys catch the suit?
Yeah.
That was the suit that John Deegan Superman used, and I'm very interested to see how they play with that.
It'll be interesting. But, it's like I said before, I liked the second episode and the whole idea. Like I said, it's amazing the night and day of these shows. Like I said, Superman and Lois, I liked it because it didn't really focus on Clark himself. It really focused more on the fact, like I said, of him just trying to be a father. Of course, finding out that one of your sons is going to be powered up. And then, of course, like Joe said, I think it's going to wind up being they might actually have split powers between the two. But in this episode, it was interesting because they tried to sit there and say that, okay, Jordan may have powers, and then you come to find out you think you're going to be Goku, and you find out you're Krillin. That's kind of, and then you get told by the AI that you will never. You was like.
Grandpa is not a very nice grandpa.
No, Grandpa Jarrell just sat there and told him the truth. Like, you will never. He's like, he started off saying, "Oh, you're gonna be the one to continue our Kryptonian heritage." And those tests came back and said, "I'm sorry, I lied to you." but it was that. But I did like that. Of course, the whole idea of like, well, I'm not gonna get, am I gonna get powers? I'm gonna get this, because I'm not gonna lie. I expected them both to start showing stuff. Especially, I like the fact of Jordan using his emotions for his powers to come out. Either like him being, either angry or just, a flight or fight response. And I was expecting John to be like, okay, he's going to, probably try to throw the ball a little harder or try to run a little bit faster. And you can start seeing his powers start to come out. So I still think it's going to happen. I agree with you, Joe, on that one. I still think both those twins are going to show some powers.
I thought they already did that, though, didn't they? Or was that Clark in the flashback with the football?
No, that was definitely.
I want to say I was Clark, but I could be wrong. I have to go back. I have to go back and watch it, but I could have sworn it was Clark.
Okay, it wasn't.
I think it was John, which is what threw me off when they said Jordan was the one that got the powers. Because I think they showed like a scene of him throwing the ball, and Clark looks as low, like, oh, really? And then they turn and look at Jordan. He's just in there drawing. I'm like, okay.
Because it might be it though, but I have to go back and watch it. But I still think like powers themselves are gonna manifest. I like the fact that Luthor was trying to go back to of course the General Kent, but again he's speaking to a different General Kent, and he's like he's sitting the whole time. He's gonna be exactly what you thought he was, sir. And of course the General's like, Superman? don't call it's almost like PTSD trauma. It's like, don't call him that. He's gonna be exactly what you thought he was. And
So the problem with this storyline.
Say what Joe said again.
So the thing with that storyline, little trope thing is this is one of those. I gotta stop him before he becomes this.
Yeah.
You doing this is gonna make him become this.
Yeah. And that's why I think and don't get me wrong, I like that because it was so interesting that even the computer AI he is talking to was like, this Kal-El is not the one that destroyed your Earth. And he goes, not yet. I was like, so you already acknowledged the fact that the Superman from this planet, who by the way could have killed you 3 times over by now, you acknowledge that he is not the same one in the black suit that destroyed your Earth, but you still want him dead. I said, okay, that's a villain. At the same time, you've already planted the seeds in General Kent, because now he's going to be looking at him sideways. So that does set up for storylines. But Morgan Edge, I got to talk about this because I had to tell this to a friend of mine. I said, he says Morgan Edge? I said, yep. There is a reason. I said, they had to introduce him because I think it's going to lead to one of 2 things. I said, this could be a reach. I could be wrong. I think it eventually lead to Intergang. I think it'll eventually build up to where he basically heads up the one group of superpowered villains that'll want to take on Superman. Do I think it's going to happen in this season? No. But do I think the seeds will be set up for it? Yes.
I can kind of see that.
That's who Morgan Edge is.
Yeah,
remember who he is.
Yeah, that's Morgan Edge.
He has heavy ties to Intergang, and like we saw on Supergirl, we had what I'm drawing a blank. Mannheim. Mannheim was in that, and his sister. So like having Intergang would be a very interesting way to have some new antagonists.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I would have liked to have seen these shows without the interference of COVID. I honestly believe that if COVID hadn't happened and they had more time to actually put into thought on some of these shows, I think we would be going forward with a new direction. Because everything was cut short. We're not getting crossovers this season. And then we're going to go into the summer season waiting for what they're going to do next. I would have loved to have seen the shows that are on TV right now without the interference of COVID. I think we would have had slight, not much,
but some slight
better direction.
Different, completely different.
True. It would be different. But yeah, overall though, like I said, I still think that's bound to happen. I like the fact that they showed Superman in the black suit. I like the fact that they kind of, they didn't say it was the Fortress of Solitude, which I thought was interesting. He did not sit there and call it the Fortress of Solitude. He just called it a place that he could come to where he could actually use the system that basically taught him about his powers and, of course, interacting with the Jor-El AI. So I was like, okay, so we're not calling it the Fortress of Solitude, but it kind of is.
It is the Fortress of Solitude. It's different from the one on Supergirl because Crisis, that's how you explain it, but still, just call it the Fortress of Solitude. That's what it is.
Doesn't Jordan have his own crystal from the ship from the first episode?
Yes.
No, that's the same one that...
Go ahead, Shadow.
I think he eventually either gave it back to him or I can't remember if they made a scene, but I think the one... Because he said in the scenes, like, is that the crystal from the ship? He was like, yes, it's a sunstone. So that makes me think that that's the same one that he gave from him.
Okay.
That would be surprising, but yeah, I liked it, and I was like I said, I had to give a little bit of a light in these CW shows because I love Superman, Lois, and also just a quick bit, Pacific Rim: The Black. I need to apologize for it. I called it a movie. It was not. I apologize. It was an animated series on Netflix. It was 7 episodes the first season. Did you guys get a chance to catch it? To watch any of it?
Not yet. I want to.
Okay. I will go ahead and say this, and I'll give a non-spoiler because you guys haven't seen it. It is worth watching. It tells a different story post. If I had to give you a starting point, think the last second Pacific Rim movie, and like 10 years beyond that.
No, good.
So just to give you a starting point. But it is worth watching. It's 7 episodes. I like the direction they went into it. But hopefully, if you guys are on next week, I definitely want to get your opinions on that. But for everyone else, I will sit there and say it's worth watching just because I'm a big Pacific Rim fan. I still think Del Toro will still get a chance to direct number 3. I hope. It's just like It's like Ron Perlman coming back to do Hellboy. I still think it's possible. Not to knock David Hayter from Hellboy from the reboot. Not to knock him. It wasn't bad, but Ron Perlman just speaks to me as Hellboy. That's all I'm saying. He speaks to me. But yeah, and also with that, before we move on to the next show, like I said, Pacific Rim is worth watching if you get a chance. Keanu Reeves, because Joe, you can talk about this, because Berserk came out. I talked about I was gonna read this because first it's Keanu Reeves, and I think Keanu Reeves is starting to have a bad run because he was behind Cyberpunk 2077, and we all know how that story went. And now he what Berserker is. It was his Kickstarter along with others to actually write a comic book about this character. I had saw it. I had actually bought this on Comixology. I haven't read this yet. Joe has read this. So, Joe, could you give a non-biased opinion about this comic book?
It's a really boring take on Vandal Savage if he was angry.
Dang.
All this book was just fight scene and fight scene. He can't die. All he does is punch people through the head. They shoot him. Then at the end of the issue, they repair any damage to his body, and he's either an immortal like Vandal Savage, or he's somehow a god born on Earth, and that's it.
Okay.
Like, it's just constant fight scene. It's just angry John Wick if he was like a god. It's boring. And John Wick wasn't.
Oh no.
John Wick, like I said, John Wick wasn't boring. This was a bad first issue.
Okay.
Like, until they gave an explanation, but like, it's John Wick dressing up in army gear, at least the character, because it's still Keanu. And all he does is just punch people's heads off. That's it.
Okay.
While getting shot. Or blown up, or flamethrowered.
Dang.
And like, he still keeps coming. He still keeps punching people through the head. Once mission succeeded, we go back and then we see, oh, we're gonna repair him. Here's a pill for something. Then he says like, oh well, I may be a god. It's like, okay.
Well, I mean, I'll still read it. Like I said, sometimes the first issue is not always it's not always a home run. But I do want to get an honest opinion about it, Joe, and thank you for that. But I will definitely still read it because I already paid for it. So I already paid for it. So
Black, on the other hand.
Now that's another one I'm going to bring up too. Now I want you guys, because like I said, being in the comic book world, we don't get, some people get caught in the mainstream of things, but do you want to give everybody like 10 seconds what the Radiant Black's about, just in case they might be interested?
Okay, Radiant Black is a tokusatsu or Power Rangers-esque story about a guy who's $40,000 in the hole, has to move back with his parents, goes out drinking one night with a buddy, and then all of a sudden, I have a super suit. Oh, and at the end of it, there's a red version of him that is robbing a bank.
Dang, okay. So, again, that's Radiant Black, because I had to add that to my list after Joe told me, because I have a list. Like I said, I use Comixology for mine. It's not a plug or anything. They're not paying me for it. I just like the service, and it's easy. But I definitely have to add that to my list, because when Joe told me that, I was like, okay, I got to read that. Just because off that premise alone gathers my attention. But anyway, but moving right along, guys, of course, Tom Clancy's new movie that stars Michael B. Jordan called Without Remorse is coming out. Not a lot about it, because the trailer itself just shows him killing people, especially the one where he lights a car on fire with the guy inside and then hops in the car with the guy.
Okay, so what part of the CIA or FBI is he in? Because this has Tom Clancy right up front.
Oh, it's definitely, he's Navy SEAL. Let's see if I can find the trailer real quick.
Hey, no more. We know this movie.
Because I'll be honest with you, I watched the trailer for it and I was like, this is just Jack Reacher, except a different story. I'm like a guy who basically wants to a guy who's basically his wife was killed and is now trying to track down the group that basically framed him for a murder. I'm like, is this not the fugitive meets Jack Reacher at this point? Plus a little bit a little Man on Fire just sprinkled on top. Because
does it have Tom Clancy in the name in front?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, there we go.
That's true. Because I mean, Tom Clancy really doesn't put his. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tom Clancy's an excellent author, and I love Rainbow Six.
That man has put out more movies since more books and more movies since he died than any other writer I've ever known.
That is true. I mean, even Stephen King was like, God dang. I mean, he's like, and I used to call Stephen King the king of the guy whose books and movies that he sometimes didn't allow. He wasn't really agreeing to let them happen. Did happen, but still. I don't know. I was like, I saw the trailer for that, and I just don't know. But I wanted to point that to you guys out to see how y'all, if you want to go out and look at it. It's just to me, that might be a skip, but because on Amazon Prime and I've already got Prime, it might be worth a Saturday watch or two. I don't know. It's already it's almost like you've paid. It's like you've paid for the buffet. You might as well stay for dessert.
Yeah,
but.
You know what? I got that same feeling with the movie with Anthony Mackie in it, where it was on Netflix, like Under the Wire or something like that.
Yes, it.
like okay, I'll it's Saturday, ain't nothing else on. Press play.
Oh man.
Huh. Okay, so he's fighting people. It's cool. Yeah. Okay, he's saying some cap things.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's the back. But
he's the bad guy and all of it. Which also led to my theory that AIs will eventually turn on us.
That's not a theory. That's definitely going to happen.
I mean, because as AIs get sentient life, I've been saying this, especially me being in the IT field. They're like, "Oh, this AI can do everything." I am getting Terminator vibes every time someone says that, because the moment that thing gets sentient and the moment that thing starts making logic together, we're done.
Yep.
But the last two things we got, guys, that we're going to talk about.
I'm going to hijack.
What was I going to say, Joe?
I'm going to hijack. Let's talk about some New Mutants comics, people.
Oh, God. It's Hollywood.
Will, are you reading this any at all?
Say it one more time.
Again. Give it a moment. I said, are you reading any of the new X-Men comics at the moment?
Not yet. That's on my list.
Okay, so let's talk about these New Mutants. The New Mutant comics. I've been a long-time fan of the New Mutants.
Okay.
The new run is fantastic. Right now, in the new book, we have the New Mutants training what I like to call the really New Mutants.
Oh, Lord.
Because it has one of my favorite new characters from the Tom Taylor run, Gabby.
Uh-huh.
Which is Wolverine's granddaughter.
Oh, yes.
Granddaughter.
Granddaughter?
Granddaughter.
Finally.
She's a clone of a clone. She is X-23's clone, but younger, thus Wolverine's granddaughter. She and some other kids that have been introduced in the book are currently being taught by Danny and Rain and Magic and Warlock and Warpath during the day.
That's interesting.
During the night, they go to Farouk, who we know as the Shadow King at some times.
Oh, Lord.
We also learned that Danny's son, who we thought died, is still transmitting his memory banks to the Hive.
Oh, Lord.
Oh,
if you're not familiar with what's currently going on in the comics, in Krakoa, when you die, the Six get you reborn and you're rebooted with your old memories.
Pretty much.
Right.
Rain's son thought to have died 5-ish years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's still transmitting.
Wow.
Rain's not happy about that. Gabby's also in a really bad spot right now. She is losing her sunshine, which makes me very sad. Because clones don't have a great track of being reborn.
Not at all.
Because she's like, so what about Ethan, which is the clone of Apocalypse? Like, well, he is the clone of Apocalypse, but Ethan's a good kid, so he may be in the queue. What about Madeline Pryor? No.
That was a...
When it's Havoc's girlfriend... Batman. He looks like Gene. There you go, honey.
Yeah, and then that's a problem.
But what about me? What if I? Oh, we'll bring you back. It's like, but what about no clones? Like,
nah.
You'll be okay, Gabby.
Just that. We'll think. You'll be all right. God.
So
That's something to definitely keep a hold out of, just because of that. Because like I said, that's on my queue list. But I
suggest to you what you need to read. You need to read Marauders.
Oh, I do keep up with that. Now I haven't. Well, let me take it back. I don't want to lie to myself. I haven't. I missed the last 3, so I'm 3 back from where it is currently right now. So I'm not entirely caught up.
I don't know what payback is because of these women.
I was gonna say I'm 3 back, so I don't know where that is. Don't spoil that for me, because I follow that story. So definitely don't let me know. But anyway, I do gotta get you guys. Like I said, as much as I love having you guys on here, I do gotta get to the last 2 CW shows before we can call this a night. One I know you guys are gonna like, and one of you guys are gonna hate. So let's just go to the one that you like. Well, at least I think that you like. So of course, this week The Flash did come back on, starting season 7, and it did some interesting things. Of course, we saw a death, which was real early.
2 deaths.
Uh-oh, Shadow, why are you covering your ears? It's not the one you're thinking of, Shadow. Okay, so Joe, I'm gonna tell you this because I mess with Shadow about this all the time. I said that the Flash could get back to greatness, but in order for that to happen, Joe has to die.
Yeah, that's fine.
No!
He had his time in Rent. Let it go.
Because Joe was his moral center, and he could always come back to him for advice. The same way he would go back to his dad in prison. So it's like the only way you can get him to really stand on his own 2 feet is to, remove the net.
All right, so anyways, how I keep looking at Flash is they are slowly slipping into edging Barry out and bringing in, we'll just say White Wally, because we've already had Black Wally.
Yeah. Because
we keep getting more and more of Wally's characters. We already have Chunk.
Yep.
Running things instead of Cisco. We have not Linda Park, because they already used Linda Park and that immediately failed.
Yep.
This episode, and to be fair, now we have to be very, very fair. This was intended to be the wrap-up for season 6 because of COVID that is now part of season 7.
Right.
So we have to give it some leeway. We have to take into the fact that this is not really a season opener. This is an ending to a story arc from the previous thing. But we did have 2 deaths this episode. This still goes back into the same unfortunate formula that this show falls into. Barry, can you go just a wee bit faster?
Pretty much.
Or Barry, you lost your powers, Barry. Do you think we can get it back this episode?
The alternate alternate speed force.
I can't see this because I'm not dragging my camera over here. Shadow has not been to my room in forever. I have 30 years of Flash where they do a little bit more than. Can you go a little bit faster, Wally?
Yeah, but it's just, again, the alternate speed force thing. We're going to create our own speed force to basically give you power, to give you your speed back. And I will say this, the one thing I did like about it was a little upgrade about the helmet. The nanotechnology, as far as his whole entire, the whole entire suit comes over, I do dig that.
That's a Wally thing. Don't even start me on that. The moment that happens, like, did he just speed force the helmet onto himself like Wally can?
Which I did dig it. I mean, they always try to make new and you're right, it is a Wally thing. They do try to make adjustments to his suit every season. But again, like you said, they're wrapping up with season 6 because Iris is still in the Mirrorverse. Eva's out, and of course, because of what happened with the actor that played the Elongated Man, he was pretty much just written off.
Oh yeah, him and Sue, that whole storyline was dropped.
Yeah. So it's like I was there, and then of course, Shadow. Can I go ahead and say it, or have you seen this episode?
I haven't seen it yet at all.
Okay, so this is gonna be awkward.
Oh, I do it. I have no problem being awkward.
No,
I'm gonna sit there and say I'm okay. So Joe, me and you have seen it, right? Do you believe what happened in that episode should have happened?
I'll just say this. This series is always going to need a Wells, so I have no problem coming back because, again, this is a holdover from season 6. We got to keep that in mind.
True, but I was hoping you wouldn't say Wells.
And Eva being a dupe.
I was hoping you wouldn't say Wells because I was trying to not say the name because Shadow hadn't seen it. And now when you said Wells...
Shadow knows you well enough.
Well, you know now, Shadow.
I had a feeling.
Well,
I had a feeling.
Well, I mean, dude, let's be real. Again, we've already prefaced that this is the end of season 6 ruling, so you knew this was going to come.
Yeah.
And every season he shows up somehow, some way, some shape, some form. Remember, this Wells is actually pariah to begin with anyway. So what does it matter?
Yeah.
But I still think in some because and also just to go ahead and just spoil even more. Even the showrunner sat there and said that Wells is not going to be gone. He is going to be back in some way or some form because there's always a Wells every season. But
that man is like Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Every time he blows up, he just comes back.
Pretty much. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I do like the fact that they kind of twist as, trying to get him to redeem himself as the guy that pretty much killed the multiverse. So, the whole redemption story about, him sacrificing himself to, create the alternate Speed Force and give Barry his speed back. I can't knock that. That was actually pretty cool. I mean, it did give me a little bit of hope that, yes, you guys can recover from the last couple of seasons of the story writing that you've done. But I still stand by my theory. My theory to make the Flash great is that unfortunately, Joe has to go.
Joe's got to go, and they got to figure out another way to end an arc other than, can you go a little bit faster, Barry?
I was really hoping it would be something else because the first season of Flash was great because it was basically Wells also Reverse Flash basically teaching Barry his powers. So it was a little bit different for the first season. And of course, the second and third season was okay too. It wasn't always about, run, Barry, run.
Which one was the Savitar season?
Savitar was 4?
It was 3.
Was it 3 or 4?
It was 3.
Okay, it was
4
3.
4 was the Thinker.
Okay, yeah, 4 was Thinker, so 3 would be Savitar.
Yeah.
So it's like, the Thinker wasn't bad either, but, it's kind of weird to go and see. Now that I think about it, Peter Capaldi will be the Thinker in Suicide
The other
Squad.
problem I have with this episode, and again, I have to preface this.
Go for it.
Every time in my mind, this is a series finale. This is like a penultimate thing.
Yeah.
Is they do away with 2 villains like it's nothing.
True.
Like they just they are 2 minor characters to me and you, Shadow. Like they just run up on Sam Scudder in the top. They immediately kill Sam Scudder, who was Wally's Mirror Master.
Right.
Yeah.
They just immediately off him, and they leave the top at emotional.
Hang on, Joe, because you might be coming out. You might be coming in and out for a second. Hang on a second. Yeah, because I think give it a second, because I think we might have hit a snag for a second. I'm just waiting for the stream to go back normal. We lost everything.
And
that was interesting.
Yeah. Okay,
I was
so
like, wow. So apparently we just I'm sorry, Joe. It looked like it kind of dropped out for a second, so you might have to start back from when you started your explanation again.
Okay, so like I was saying, my biggest issue is something I had to press myself because this is again the end of the season 6. So they run up and immediately kill Sam Scudder, which is Wally's Mirror Master, and they leave the top an emotional wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, this is the problem with me. I've read this stuff, and I blame Jared so much for this. And that any of this Wally stuff if it wasn't for Jared. The top is not somebody you deal with. You mess with this in this scenario.
Right.
The top is one of the very few Flash villains where even the rogue's like, this dude's got to go.
Right.
And then, but you make, and I have no problem with her being female. I mean, the top has this thing of, jumping from people to people anyways, so that's not the issue. The issue is, oh, now she's a MacGuffin, so we can move the story along.
Right.
That's not how you do the top.
But again, I point this out so many times. Show running. Because again, it's amazing. Now I don't mind them taking certain villains and adjusting them. Of course, Weather Wizard, of course, Weather Witch.
No, that's fine.
You know, that was fine. And then of course how you did Godspeed, saying, "Oh, that's not really God. That's not really the true Godspeed. That's a copy," or it's not, stuff like that. Or it's like, okay,
you can season 7 supposed to be true Godspeed?
Yes.
I hope so.
I hope so. But again, that's like I said, it's almost like every Godspeed that Flash runs across isn't the true Godspeed. So it's like, okay, I get to see that you try to do a few things, but again, this is where I say it goes back into that whole thing about, it goes back into them just taking certain things from it. Like in this episode of The Flash, okay, so The Flash has got a speed back. But again, aren't you kind of exposing the fatal flaw in the storytelling? It's just that it's never really centered around Barry. It's really centered around the characters of Barry. So it's like you have like I said before, two people from Wally's group. You don't have Cisco anymore, who's supposedly still globetrotting. You don't have Killer Frost anymore because apparently they decided to take a sister vacation. And of course, you're stuck.
That did come in.
But still, it's just it's hard to swallow. That's the best way I could put that. It's like you make all these adjustments and things of that nature. It's just a hard pill to swallow, is all. So you're just sitting there again. Like you said, Joe. This is them tying up season 6 with this episode. So maybe, and I say maybe with a grain of salt, and this is interesting. This is interesting. So, yeah. So this is interesting.
Not yet.
Okay.
Working on it though.
So Zoom is really not liking us right now. Okay, so
no, it's my fault. I caused these things. That is my power.
I was wondering why you picked Zoom tonight instead of Google Meets. I was excited for Meets. I used it last week. I loved it. So
yeah, I was trying something new. So this is on my bad as far as from the IT side of it. So we're probably gonna go back to Google Meets after all said and done. But I'm sorry, man. What I was saying about this Shadow, for what you're saying, is just that. And to reiterate what Joe was saying was just that, yes, this is tying up from season 6 to season 7. So maybe this is just them just tying up loose ends, albeit it could have been done better. But maybe the episode 2 of 7 of this season will be better, because honestly, we do need to drop the Mirrorverse. The Mirrorverse has been really done so many times, and it's just like, we need to move on from that. It's like I get that it consumed majority of season 6. I don't need to consume season 7. I don't. It needs to be something new. And I said before, it's amazing the level of enemies they've already ran through, because I would have held off Zoom. Zoom to me would have been like the nuclear option to go to. I would not made him to go to I don't know if that was season 2 or season 3.
That was season 2, and I would not have used Zoom till I introduced Wally, because Zoom is Wally's reverse.
Right. So it's just like I'm not saying you drained the well. There's still plenty of other villains from Flash they can use.
We are on Girder and Tar Pit at this point.
You ain't wrong though. But you ain't wrong. But I still say, like I said, I'm still holding out hope. It's just like Black Lightning, which is the last show we're going to talk about on this podcast. Which I'm going to rather be quick for Black Lightning, just because me and Shadow have talked about this. And Shadow, I wanted your opinion, because at the time of the last podcast, you did not see any of the new season. So were you able to watch it? Were you able to watch any episodes yet?
Not yet. It's been a very busy week. I've not had a chance to. Yeah, like right now I'm writing while I'm working on this, so I'm trying to multitask. But I have heard some things.
And it's gonna. If Zoom crashes again, I'm going to laugh my ass off.
That
Oh, I think it's gonna hang on, Chad. Hang on, Shadow, because I think
Makes me wonder. I'm like, why are you still on this? Why, Jennifer?
Hold
on, because I think it's.
Strip club did not pay enough.
There we go. Okay.
There we go.
I was about to say your audio was still going. It was a little distorted, but your camera screen froze up for a second, so that's my bad. Zoom is really failing me, and it was running so well on test podcast earlier. I don't think Zoom likes us tonight, but Zoom. I talked about Zoom.
You have failed this podcast.
I think the actual Zoom is actually on Comcast messing with us right now. But the audio, your audio did come through. But Joe, have you seen Black Lightning of this season so far?
I'll wait till he comes back. Yes, I have seen Black Lightning. Let me just put it this way: I'd rather be watching Static Shock.
You ain't wrong.
I was seriously like the biggest thing is the last time I saw this show, they killed Tobias Well. I have no idea why this man's back.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was his fault, but he's not.
Their version of Black Mariah killed Tobias Well. The last time. Why does he need his suit to regulate his powers all of a sudden?
As he never did before, right?
Never did before. It's much like Shadow said. Why is Lightning still on this superhero high? Why is she like, well, I want to be Lightning. I'm always Lightning. I'm like, you were always Lightning in the first season we introduced you on. Why? We're on season 4.
And you're still riding the high. Still, especially just going into the ionosphere and just charging yourself up and then just riding the high out like an addict. But yeah, it's just I'll hate to spoil this for you, but it's just a lot of it. It's just a lot of what happened with season 3 just seemed to correlate back into season 4. Of course, with Lynn is his wife, his ex-wife. They're still having their issues. The only real new addition to this episode was Grace actually taking on the Wild persona, because she mentions the Outsiders Volume 2 Issue 16, which I kept on laughing about because a lot of people I don't get it. I said because the Outsiders Volume 2 Issue 16 was the Strike Force Cobra, which was the Eradicator's Outsiders run, which introduced Wild. Which if you see Wild in the comics versus her,
they went that deep,
huh?
Yeah,
they went that deep.
Yes,
good for them.
But the where they're trying, I was like, okay, you're taking bits and pieces from the Wild character from Strike Force Cobra, and you're introducing it into Black Lightning and trying to make her a part of the team. Okay, I get it, but. It's just that, at the end with Lightning disintegrating, it's just from her being overcharged. Yeah, she pretty much pulls the one thing that Shocker from Spider-Man always wanted, to just become pure energy. And when I tell you she becomes pure energy, she disintegrates.
Yeah, so she becomes her JSA form.
Yeah. So
okay.
So that's what's all.
The one that Joaquin was so enamored with for a while.
Yeah. So in all, it's just to give you an idea, Shadow. You really didn't miss anything. You could probably find the cliff notes on these episodes and just be like, okay, I'm caught up. Because I was telling him, I said, because I was telling Shadow last week, Joe, the reason it's I don't know why, but Tobias Whale's character is the most interesting thing on Black Lightning right now, because Black Lightning themselves it's just this dark journey that you think after season 3 would be okay, 1 or 2 episodes, okay, you have your grieving moments and then you get back to business. We're now on episode 4 and this man is still grieving. I'm just where does the story pick up? Because at this point, go ahead.
This would make more sense if they're in the suicide slums and all this is happening.
True.
Yeah.
But again with Black Lightning, because they focus more on social issues than the actual story, it just drags. And that's why I was and that's why I was I hate to say it, I said, and I was telling Shadow this last week, unless Static Shock is going to be a part of this unless Static Shock is going to be a part of this show, which I doubt will ever happen, I don't see. I mean, there's a reason why this is the final season, and it's not even being written well enough to give it a good send off.
Yeah, no.
It's just it's good and terrible. I just can't. It's like it's like every week. It's almost like Stockholm syndrome. You want to, you hope for the best, but when you get there, it's just like it's the same thing, and you're wondering why am I still here?
Yeah.
So I just looked at Black Lightning. Like I said, CW just seems to have some good ideas. Like Superman Lois is good. I mean, I will give the Flash. I will give the Flash a second episode because, like you said, this is just them wrapping up the last season. So maybe episode 2 will be better. I
am really looking forward to because they're bringing in the Shade. And James Robinson. The thing that always gives me hope about Stargirl, is it's by the two most well-known people to utilize the characters in that universe, which is Jeff Johns, who created it, and James Robinson, which single-handedly made the Starman series, wrote the Shade series, and then the follow-up Shade series.
Nice.
Okay. I might give it. I mean, I'm on the opposite side. It's just every time I watch Stargirl, it just loses me. I mean, I can get into the comic and cool. The comic will pull me in, but watch television show and I'm just like, bleh. But
well, see, the thing is for me, and I hate. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
The thing is what I'm really looking forward to in season 2 is what they already said with season 1. They already said it's like, well, Shade left. It's like, cool. That means Shade's a good guy, and maybe he's over in. Where did they say they were? Because they mentioned all the Opal. He's probably in Opal the whole time, and the events of Starman are going on. Plus, we know Joe McHale's Starman is still alive, but that's Sylvester.
Right.
That's not Jack.
Right.
Wait, he's still alive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh crap! Spoiler alert. It's fine.
Well, we already crossed that line, Shadow, tonight, so. But I might turn around and actually try Stargirl.
I'll catch up eventually. I'll take a break one day.
But I'll probably go back and give Stargirl another shot.
I enjoyed Stargirl for what it was.
I mean, I tried.
I'll watch Titans season 3 when it comes out. And
yeah, but Titans actually got really good.
Yes,
it did.
It did get really good. I mean,
once we got out of that Trigon stuff, we were golden.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I said the same thing about Titans. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. That first season, I had my doubts about it, but once we got past the Trigon arc, and really, I mean, of course, adopting the Nightwing suit, and of course, Bruce always sat there and said, we knew he was gonna come back." Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of weird seeing the guy. I was like, every time I see him, I'm like, "You're not Bruce Wayne. You're Jarrell Mormont. You're still Jarrell Mormont, sir. I cannot get away from this."
She is still the best Wonder Girl I've seen.
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is.
And the Hawk and Dove are fantastic.
Yes, they are.
But I have to give that credit though. But with that being said, guys, anything guys you want to add before we call it a night? Because I'm afraid that Zoom is going to crash on us again, which is kind of sad because I had more hope in Zoom than I did in Google meetings. So, Joe, is there anything that you want to share or plug or anything that you want to let the people know?
Well, it's probably the same thing as Shadow. I am part of numerous costume charity groups, including Shadows. At some point, we'll get a black mask together for me, I'm sure.
Ooh.
I want to do the Batman version of Black Mask.
Okay.
Yay.
That
show was so underrated.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it to death. The Batman is the one with the issues, but
yeah.
Nice.
That's them not using correct things. What else? My YouTube is defunct at the moment, so I can't plug that.
Dang.
The sport card game and COVID affected the card game, so I'm not really putting out any material at the moment.
Gotcha.
Cosplay Collective, I'm there. I'm on Facebook. I guess I can plug the two things I listen to. So go listen to Fire and Water Network, because they do a lot of really good different podcasts for comics. There's Superman, there's Firestorm, Aquaman, Everything Under the Sun, Laser Time Network, which is just kind of like we're doing now, a bunch of BS and having fun. Will froze again.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Keep going.
And I just do a lot of costuming stuff with Shadow from here and there. So he's there. I'm probably around in something.
Okay, cool. Shadow, what about you?
You know.
Aside from your link that's showing at the bottom in purple.
No, just got a couple videos coming out leading up to the Snyder Cut and Falcon Winter Soldier, where I talk about Falcon, Bucky, and Superman. So there'll be files 4 through 6 on the 3-day race. You check those out. Other than that, like I said, all my links are on the YouTube channel. Check those out. I'm trying to stay busy putting content out there, guys. I did a bit of a rebirth last year, and with the way COVID is and the way everything's going right now, it's looking like the only con we might actually go to this year would be ICCC. And even then, we got to take all the precautions. So I'm excited for that.
I'm gonna have to watch that with y'all. I'm gonna be there with y'all in spirit because the way that thing's gonna be set up, it's gonna look like a mess.
So here's why ICCC is a trap right now.
Yeah.
And this is not to tell anybody not to go. If you guys want to go, by all means go. That is happening at the Music City Sheridan.
Yeah.
That is happening around the same time as NTEC.
NTEC's not happening.
That's why I'm bringing this up.
Yeah.
All the anime kids that they think that their ICC is like, oh, we're just going to get use your crafts. Like, no. You're going to get every teenage anime kiddo there possibly is, and that thing's going to be filled with the same thing as MTAC.
Mm-hmm.
BO.
You gonna get used to a lot of weird smells.
No, I thought that it was going to be at the same place as it was last year, which is why I decided to go, because that place was so spacious. But when I heard it was going to be Music City, I was like, okay, well, I'm back to being 50-50 now. I'll see how it goes. But it would be nice to get out and see some people for a while. But other than that, that's really all I got. Thank you again for having me on.
Yeah.
It was so much fun as always.
It's no problem. I apologize for technical difficulties. I know now the next time I do this, I am just going to do Google. I'm sorry, Google. If Google is listening, because I know you guys are, I'm sorry, Google. I am so sorry for doubting you. You are my Lord and Savior, Google. How dare I go to Zoom thinking I would have a better presentation? But I apologize. Don't hold this against me on the next podcast. but yeah, I can see Google's like, we heard what you said, Will. Why did I made him sound like Hal from War Games. I just made him sound. Oh man. But yes, but Shadow's link is at the bottom in purple. All my links / Shadow Creative Set. That's where you can find his links. Of course, with me, my link is below there. It's in the one in red, where you can find all my podcasts, YouTube shows, things of that nature. So you can definitely copy and paste that in the browser to be able to take all that, like, share, and repeat. The last thing I'll say about this, guys, like I said, I want to thank Joe and Shadow for being on here. Like I said, this whole thing that I'm wanting to do is just it's like as Joe said, a bunch of guys who have a fandom. Now, for all those that don't know what a fandom is, if you love something, whether it's comics, video games, anime, which I know I didn't get a lot into anime. I mean, I'm still following Jujutsu Kaisen a lot more, and I'll have a lot more on that next week. But if you're a fan of something, then you have a fandom, which makes you a nerd. There's nothing wrong with being a nerd or a blurred or a geek or anything of that nature, because you found something that you can be passionate about. Just not on the level of Star Wars toxic fan. That's all I'm saying. Don't be that. Just don't be Star Wars toxic level. Just don't do that. You'll be fine. But this is a place where we can all come and really share our love for the things that actually make us tick, that make us whole, that make us happy, and things of that nature. And that's what Get Bit is all about. So, with that being said, I do want to sit there and say thank you all who are watching, who are bearing with us to this stream. I apologize. I will not use Zoom again for this situation. I apologize, Google. But beyond that, guys, like I said before, if you're in Texas, please be careful. Of course, be careful everywhere. COVID-19 is real. Please wear a mask. Please do social distancing. Please only go out if you have to. Avoid large crowds if you can. Basically, do the things that actually can help us get these case numbers down. And also, as vaccinations come up, please get your shots. It helps out everybody. Aside from that, thank you all who are nurses, doctors, nurses' aides, doctors' aides, environmental people that work in hospitals. Thank you all, because you guys, the MVPs, since last year, not enough is being done for you guys. But again, thank you all who watch this, because I actually have a few nurses and doctors who are also fandoms that actually watched this show and said thank you. So I just want to make sure you guys are appreciated, because you guys are really doing a lot. And also, if you do see a doctor, a nurse, or just a hospital worker, say thank you. It's not that freaking hard. They don't, like I said before, they don't really get a lot of praise. They should be getting damn near soldier welcome homes, as far as I'm concerned. But definitely do that. Aside from that, essential people. I hate the word essential worker. You've heard me say it many times. Essential worker sounds like the corporate buzzword to make you feel good. I hate that. I say essential people because we need people to basically get the ball rolling. So what I mean by that is folks that actually work in grocery stores, gas stations, if you're a truck driver, if you work in warehouses like Amazon, or you work in logistics like United States Postal Service, UPS, FedEx, DHL, all those other areas. Basically the ones that did not have the luxuries of working from home but are protecting themselves and keeping the lights on for the rest of us, definitely thank you. But aside from that, guys, like I said before, our links are all at the bottom. We hope to have a better podcast, a more stable podcast next Friday at 8:30. But thank you for all who watched, who liked, who started watch parties, and also at the same time, if you're seeing this on the replays, please comment as if it's live. I know a lot of people did get back to me about this. I'm sorry we couldn't really get to your comments, but I will make it a point to get back to you guys in the next podcast. But definitely don't stop commenting. Just because, like I said, we're all fans here, and we just like to have fun, plain and simple. But aside from that, guys, anything left to say before we call it a night? I'm hoping the stream stays up long enough to where we're good. Because I hate to pull that good night, everybody, and it just freezes. Like, that's the worst way to end it.
Good night.
But with that being said, guys, like I said, I just want to thank Joe, thank Shadow for being on here. Like I said before, if all schedules work out, I would love to have you back on here next Friday. But we'll cover that part, and even more people, because like I said, I like having a group of people. This is as close as you're gonna get as long as COVID is out. So we're doing this all the safe way. And like I said, if you're a fan and you also have no problem talking to people or sometimes complete strangers on the internet, because we all do it, because it's called social media. But if you want to be on this show, just let me know, William McKenna on Facebook, and we'll go from there. But aside from that, guys, the last thing I'll say about Get Bit is pretty much, if you take care of each other, we're all going to get through this. Peace out, guys. Thanks for watching.